It's the SEGAbits Swingin Report Show. Get ready for Sega news and commentary with George and Barry. Hello and welcome to episode 74 of the SEGAbits Swingin Report Show. I'm Barry. With me is my co-host George.
Hello.
And it's 2015, our first show of the year of the Sega developer, in which every month we're going to be focusing on a different Sega development team. This month is AM2. However, we're not talking to AM2. We're actually talking to the development team behind Drift Stage, though it is a game that definitely takes some cues from a lot of AM2 classic racers, as well as many others from the 80s and 90s. Joining us, we have Chase, the programmer. Hello, Chase.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. We also have Charles, a.k.a. Delco, who does the art. Hello.
Hi.
Hi. And we have Hugh. He does music, and he also likes to party.
Yes. Hey, what's up, guys?
Nice. Well, hey, guys, thanks for joining us. I guess I'll dive right in with the questions. How did you guys all come together, and how did the idea for Drift Stage come about?
It's basically the magic of the internet. It all started in disparate parts. I guess Charles, many years ago, started doing his little, his car 3D modeling. And at a certain, Charles, did you want to say something? Sorry.
Oh, no, I was just confirming that I did indeed start car modeling many years ago.
Uh-huh.
I guess I'll just finish it from my end. I had my models out there, and Chase just kind of came across them. He posted some GIFs on Twitter, and it was basically just like a really early rough prototype for kind of like a physics engine. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. So I basically just messaged him, and I was like, you want to make something out of this? Because I have a whole bunch of new art to do with it. And he was like, maybe. And then a day later, he was like, yeah.
Huh. And when did the music start coming into play, Hugh?
Was it about like a week after I found you guys?
Yeah, I'd say a week. It was basically...
Y'all posted some GIFs to Twitter, really rough stuff. Or no, not to Tumblr. I was on Tumblr and I found you guys, and I begged you to let me do the music, and you guys were like, yeah, okay, I guess. I was like, sick. I made it.
Now, did you guys work on any games in the past? I'm assuming at least some of you did.
I believe I'm the only one who did any games before this, and it was all just, indie stuff, hobby stuff, nothing professional.
Mm.
Yeah, I've done hobbyist kind of stuff, game jams, stuff like that in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So this is your guys' first big project, I guess, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, every project I do is pretty big and awesome. Yes.
Well, you bring the party.
You guys. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So do you guys have a development team name for yourselves?
Yeah, we're Super Systems Softworks.
Okay. Super Systems.
It's a bit of a mouthful.
Triple S.
Yeah, you also have a really nice logo when you boot up the demo.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, very nice.
And so
that was our masterpiece.
So
probably the best part of that game.
So Charles, you do all the graphic design as well as the artwork. Then I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, very cool. Did you have a background in design or
Yeah, I went to school for communication design is what the program was called.
Oh.
I actually never got my degree because I just started working on Drift Stage, but my background is print and web design.
Okay. Oh, very cool. Can I ask what school?
The prestigious Northampton Community College.
Okay, cool. No, I've gone to school for what was called visual communications, and I was like, can I just call it graphic design because no one calls it visual communications?
Yeah,
So,
I wasn't sure where they were going with that.
Yeah, I think they just want to sound hoity-toity. But, that's really cool. And I guess another question I had was, I guess going into the aesthetics, and it also goes with the gameplay. You have this 2D aesthetic, but it's applied to 90s 3D racing. Were there any specific games you looked to for inspiration from these eras, both from the gameplay standpoint and from the art standpoint? Maybe Chase, you could answer this first.
Well, I think from the gameplay perspective, like I drew pretty heavily from like OutRun 2 and the original OutRun to some extent, but largely I think OutRun 2 and then like Ridge Racer 4, 5, that kind of era of Ridge Racer games.
Mm-hmm.
Just in terms of fairly easy to pick up and immediately start playing, but with enough subtlety that there is actually some skill that can be applied through practice and getting familiar with the mechanics.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any interest in the more complex racers out there, like the I don't know, like Project Gotham Racing, or?
I mean, yeah, like I certainly like those games. I mean, I play Forza Horizon 2 every Thursday with a group of guys, so yeah, I'm into those games.
Nice.
But that wasn't necessarily like my aspiration for this, because I feel like there's a lot of games in that kind of halfway sim arcade space. Need for Speed basically lives there. Forza Horizon and a lot of other stuff. The Crew.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't feel like there were many games catering to the more pure arcade slanted experience anymore.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can say, having played the demo, that you definitely succeeded in the pick up and play, because I was like, well, it's a brand new game in my hands, but when I tried to drift, I was drifting just because I kind of knew the mechanics beforehand. Though it did have its own kind of feel. It definitely didn't feel like any other racers.
Yeah.
Charles, how about yourself? What sort of inspiration, especially since this idea kind of came from your early artwork that you did?
I think the main inspiration is definitely the original OutRun with, like the beach and the car and all that. But it really was just a combination of all these like old arcade racers I was looking up on YouTube. Just mostly was Lotus Esprit Turbo Challenge or something for the Amiga. They had this really cheesy spinning car in the intro to that game. Mm-hmm. And I sort of was like, oh, that's really cool. I wonder if I could like make something like that, but sort of bring it up to date with like the current, well, it's not really current, but the trends that were going on in the low poly 3D modeling world at the time, which was the pixel art, which I had never done before until I made my first car, which was based on that little, that intro spinning car. And then the colors and stuff sort of came from like the old Hot Wheels from the 60s and 70s, like the red line ones where they had like crazy metallic paint jobs. And I really just wanted to have a 3D model that if you took like a screenshot of it, it would look like 2D pixel art from like the intro to one of those games or something.
Oh, nice. And the colors, it kind of feels like, you said you were inspired by OutRun. It feels like an OutRun, but something's wrong with the board, but in a positive sort of way, just in that the sky's red, and it takes a lot more artistic liberty with the colors. How did you go about choosing these colors?
Well, the colors, like each car basically has like its own palette that's independent from everything else in the game, which is kind of weird because a game usually has its own palette. Mm-hmm. But that sort of came from the old Commodore 64 games and 8-bit games where they need, let's say, like a dark color for the wheels, so the only color they'd have would be like dark red. Well, that's the darkest color in the palette, so that's now our tire. So that's sort of what I was trying to do with that. Huh. And the colors, I just sort of try and come up with like primaries that shift into each other. So if you look at like the green in the car that's on Hugh's icon and also the soundtrack cover, you can see that it fades into blue, which is also the secondary color on it. Mm-hmm. So it's just a lot of playing with primaries and complementary colors and stuff.
Interesting. George, you had some questions?
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, what obstacles did you encounter when making flat-looking 3D games? Like, the way that the cars look and how everything flows. I mean, what was the most challenging aspect of that?
There's lots of challenging stuff with this. The biggest issue is depth, because none of the models in the game have any form of lighting or shading on them. It's what's basically referred to as full bright in most game engines, where basically everything is just 100% unlit white. Like, whatever is on the texture is what shows up on the model. So with the shape of the cars, I can sort of create this fakeness of depth by, using the lightest color on creases and edges to make the form of it. But when you start doing things, like right now I'm trying to make an airplane for one of the levels, and the airplane obviously is going to be viewed from below. And I can't figure out how do I shade that, because you need to pick a light source, and it creates all sorts of problems with faking the lighting and making things sort of look like they're three-dimensional without any form of lighting casting on them.
I wouldn't know how to do that because I don't make games, but I played the demo and it looks great. It's you can see there's depth in the game, but it's still flat. So I really like it. I really like the way you guys did the sky and everything.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
With our fake parallax.
That was all Chase's programming getting that to work. Plus the fog helps a lot with the depth.
Yeah, and we also kind of exaggerate the field of view, expanding as you speed up to sort of give it a little bit more depth.
Oh, my next question was actually a soundtrack question for the party guy over here. What music served for inspiration for the game soundtrack?
There's a lot. I listen to just tons of music all the time, but I guess for Drift Stage, I've been definitely going back and listening to a lot of T-Square, if you're familiar with them. They're a Japanese rock fusion band. They're pretty sweet. What else? They're I'm one of those guys where I was 15 once and all I listened to was Yngwie Malmsteen. So obviously that comes through a lot in my playing and my music as well. So obviously
those are the two main influences. You have a lot of tracks on your what's it called? The website? SoundCloud, yeah. I don't know. There's two of them. There's SoundCloud and there's another one with the same
Bandcamp.
Bandcamp. There you go.
I have both of them.
Yeah, I was listening to your tracks the other day on there, and you have 4 or 5 tracks. Is that kind of the soundtrack for the game, or are you guys doing more tracks? Because a lot of early racing games only really had 4 or 5 tracks, like the original OutRun or something.
The number of tracks is subject to change, and I think it kind of depends where you're listening to, because some of the music that I have out is probably some of it's not going to be for Drift Stage and other parts of it are. But I think we'll end up with at least 10, if not more. And
we have 10 right now. I have a folder going.
I think that's a pretty good amount for a racing game. How long are you usually gonna? You're gonna play the same. You have one track per course, right?
Well, I think each track. I don't want to speak for the guys because maybe they have different plans, but I think we're gonna do each track has its own theme. But I think there's going to be sort of a radio system where you can kind of flip through tracks. But I don't know. It could
that's
be
pretty
wrong.
much what we're going for.
Oh, so very OutRun, kind of when you go in the beginning of the game. Yeah,
or,
I like that. That's pretty cool.
Or Wipeout, you can actually change the music during the stage. They have random, or you can choose any of the tracks.
I think Ridge Racer works like that too. Each track, there's a default track.
Yeah. I know R4 had that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to hijack your questions, George, but I just wanted to mention too.
You're hijacking my.
Sorry, dude.
My questions.
Hideki Naganuma actually said some nice things about the soundtrack, saying it was
I love that guy.
a combination of Prince and Afterburner.
That guy's the greatest.
He's awesome. Like, you can tweet to him, and I mean, he doesn't ignore. He gives you his thoughts. I sent him a picture.
We follow each other, and I like he'll sometimes post stuff, and like we'll like have little at reply like conversations every once in a while.
I was talking to him about a Honda Accord once on Twitter.
That's awesome. So what do you think about him actually listening to your music then?
I mean, it's like such an honor, because like obviously I'm very inspired by like the whole. It's so crazy to me. Like, I've sort of kind of gone back and revisited a lot of like the video game music of my childhood, and like growing up, my family never had a SEGA console. We were like a Nintendo family, I guess.
Sure.
And so going back at like SEGA, I feel like there's this whole like SEGA aesthetic that is like so amazing, and a lot of the music, like I've gone back and re-listened to it, I'm like, whoa, like this is so crazy. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that I think like the Sega Genesis, like the synthesizer that was built into the console was like very distinctive. It was like FM. It was like some sort of crazy like FM synthesizer, and I think that added a lot to sort of the whole like how people wrote music for the system and like all this other stuff.
It's an interesting. I mean, I know that I have a friend of mine who does game compositions, and he was ranting and all about how the Genesis sounds awful, and I was like, well, why don't you just give a listen to the whole library? Or he was doing this, and he realized that, you know, when you want to make a bad Genesis song, you can make a really bad Genesis song. But if you really want to do a good job, you know, it's more than capable. It can do some really amazing things.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So
the Super Nintendo stuff is like really great too. Although that, like, I think Super Nintendo had like a sampler built in, and like a lot of people ended up using like the same samples, but like, my friend Nick was showing me this game the other day, and the name of it escapes me, but like whoever, like the samples that came with the game like banged. It was like it's very like 90s like R&B, like New Jack Swing type music, but like it like bumped. Like we had it on. I was at a studio, and we like he had it on his big speakers, and I was like, "Dude, this slaps! Like, what is this?" He's like, "I don't know. It's like some game I found on YouTube." Hold on, I think it's like I have it written down on my phone somewhere. Let me pull this up.
Yeah.
The Super Adventure Island soundtrack. Woo! Slaps.
Nice.
It's crazy.
You guys gonna make a Super Adventure Island game type with R&B music?
They gotta make Drift Stage first.
Oh yeah, that's true. I'm already. I was gonna say the next question, Barry. Is that all right?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, I'm gonna do it. During development, did you guys ever consider releasing the game on a classic console?
We always joke about it.
We joked about it, but the realities of like getting that development tool chain all set up and getting, you know, the proper software, and then you're probably looking at using an emulator to actually do the development, because getting a real dev kit's going to be almost impossible. I don't know. It's too many hoops.
Have you guys?
I think the coolest part about our game is that like it looks like an old game, but like because of the way we do it on modern like systems, like we have like a super high frame rate, and everything looks like super like crisp and fast. So like I don't know how that would work like going back to an older system. Yeah. Although I'm I'm just a musician. I don't know how this works.
Drift Stage would like be like cutting edge graphics on, you know, the PS1 or something, just because of the texture sizes we're using, even though they're low color. So you'd get probably something chugging along at like 20 frames per second, because it's, you know, basically homebrew.
right now there's a big scene on developing games on the Dreamcast, and one of the guys that we interviewed, an indie developer, I don't know if you guys heard of the game. It's like an RPG. It's Elysian Shadows.
Yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I mean, maybe the Dreamcast, but I don't know. I personally think that kind of stuff is cool for the development scene.
It's so there's not a huge audience for it though. It's such a niche thing. Like, it's almost cooler for the people making it than the people actually playing it.
It's like when people are like, "I just put out my album. It's on like mini disc. It's that." It's like cool. Like, let me know when you put out MP3s so I can actually listen to it.
I can totally understand.
It would be great to do like a super awesome like Dreamcast special edition with like a physical disc and a box and everything, but there'd be like 6 people who'd want to buy it, and I don't think we could do runs of
$10,000 a piece.
Yeah, at most you might break even, but
yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for the Dreamcast indie scene, but I think going into it, I think a lot of the times it's people saying, well, let's make a 16-bit RPG. Hey, the Dreamcast can run that, But when it comes to what you guys are doing, like you said, it's a retro game, but it's running on modern hardware, so you can do so much more. So it surprises
I'm sure the Dreamcast could handle it, though.
Oh, yeah?
But
if you had a dev kit, for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe Sega could hook us up with one.
Hey, they probably got one.
Sega, we love Sega.
Yeah.
I was going to say, what about modern consoles? Are you guys thinking PS4, Wii U?
Yeah.
All we'll say is that we've started the process, and it's very long and full of many, many things that need to be signed and gone over. So it's one of those things where we're looking into it. We can't really say anything yet, though.
Understandable. How about Barry? You have some questions?
Yeah, sure thing. Much of Drift Stage is calling back to the classic racing titles, so there's a lot of old is new. Are there any new innovations that you're working on bringing to the genre, something maybe that you've never seen in a game before?
I don't think I've ever played a game that, not to toot my own horn, but like I think in the rocking out department, nothing really rocks as hard as Drift Stage. That might be just me being, being Mr. Hype Man, but rock's pretty dang hard.
It's a party on your PC.
Yeah. Ooh, I'm gonna take that.
Yeah, you can use it.
Besides the cutting edge soundtrack and next level sound design, Chase is working on a infinite drift mode, which is sort of going to be like the OutRun checkpoint branching thing, except it just keeps going because it's all going to be dynamically created track.
Oh, cool.
That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
So it kind of gives you like I don't know. I've never played the game, but Forza, doesn't one of the new games like have like a endless drive mode, I guess? Or am I thinking of a different game?
Might be thinking of a different game because I don't recall that in Forza.
Okay. There's games that are doing that. So, and it's kind of like OutRun tried to do that thing, I guess, like the idea that you're just driving on highways, but there's obviously an end to the game. So you're doing it infinite.
Right. It's basically just going to be a procedurally generated kind of stretch of road, sort of along the lines of, I guess, more OutRun, but actually kind of more Hang-On-esque.
Okay.
Interesting. Another question I had was, you're going to be placing billboards in the game. Sega's in the past have done a lot of real-life sponsors as well as really weird, made-up designs. Do you have any updates on maybe what real companies or people might be appearing on billboards, or do you have any kind of in-joke or fake designs made up?
We have 5 slots filled from the Kickstarter of people that could, if they donated a certain amount, we would put them on a billboard in the game. Since the Kickstarter isn't over, we don't know what they want their billboards to be yet. So basically, it'll probably just be either, they want to have their face on it or something, or maybe they'll be promoting like their YouTube channel or their blog or something like that. Huh. So there will be some real, not companies, probably not, but real people will be on billboards at least.
Right. Huh. Any fake made-up designs? Because I saw some when I was playing the demo, some like fake companies in the background. Any background on how you got the names of some of those? Or
sort of. I mean, some of them, I think Super Spec was a company name that we had, like that was on our list of possible names.
Yeah, just our endless Google Doc.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Jupiter Ace is that's my graphic design company that doesn't actually exist yet, but I have that on some of my other stuff. Nice. Jace Global is just the global version of Jupiter Ace. I just couldn't think of another name, so I shortened Jupiter Ace.
Nice.
Club S was Hugh's idea. He's the owner of Club S.
Yeah, that's a real place.
Oh, it's a real place. Okay. I thought you like made up a place and then you said, and in the game he's the owner. So, that's interesting.
No, I own a nightclub.
That's awesome. Can't wait.
I told y'all I like to party.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
What else?
I thought it was a joke, but I guess he does like to party.
George, you had some questions?
Yeah, the pre-alpha demo you guys released allowed users to race. Well, you guys only had one playable car in the demo. While the full release is going to have other selectable cars. Is there like different stats for each car, or how's that going to work?
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be different properties to each car. We're still kind of figuring out exactly how we want to balance that, but we want to have a unique feel to each vehicle.
Are you guys going to like set it up like the old SEGA games where it was like beginner, normal and advanced when you guys select the cars, or is it going to be just select the car and then it has little stats on the bottom?
I mean, given that I don't know that we want to tier it just because of
don't want to lock
it kind of reduces. Yeah, it kind of reduces the amount of content in a weird way. Yeah, it depends on how you look at it. But we're aiming to kind of have them all balanced on an equal tier.
Yeah, like in Ridge Racer 1, they have those little like weird like octagonal graphs where it's like there's a little points that sort of like some cars are better top speed, some cars lean more to handling. We'll probably have something like that going on.
So it's kind of like for, I guess, online racing, so you can't just have one car and beat everybody?
Yeah, hopefully not.
Unless you guys do like a pay mobile thing where you guys pay extra for a car that has all the... No, I'm just joking.
There's not going to be any in-app purchases, I can tell you right now.
Thank God. How hard was it to get the drift mechanics just right? Like... Were you there's people that try to go more realistic. You guys were more OutRun too, where you just flip the car sideways.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say, I still want to make it better. I don't think we're done yet. I mean, I think what we have now is unique and pretty fun immediately as soon as you start playing. But and I mean, that was basically just play testing between us. Just going back, making small changes, just over time, kind of improving it.
My next question is what you guys already talked about arcade games you guys liked. What arcade games racing games do you guys dislike?
Auto Modelista and
which one? I didn't hear.
Auto Modelista.
Okay.
I mean, it looks amazing, and people compare Drift Stage to it a lot, which is cool, but it handles like crap. It's really not fun to play. And I beat the whole game, so...
You know. Wrong. This is a proper review. Chase, how about you?
Gosh, I feel like there's so many I could name. Like,
what was that PS3 one?
I feel like Split Second is a game that I know a lot of people like that I don't like because I feel like
I feel like
it has some of the worst AI and balancing in any game ever. I don't even.
Was that the Disney one that like they made a commercial making fun of Mario Kart, and that was like the only thing that anybody heard about it?
No. That was Blur.
Okay,
Blur wasn't a great game. That was Bizarre Creations. That was like their last game before they went out of business.
Which is kind of sad.
It came out right at the same time, a split second, which I think those two companies like basically destroyed each other by trying to put out two arcade racing games.
They canceled each other.
Like right at the same time.
Yeah, I was confused. I was like, what game is this? Which one should I like?
Yeah, they just totally split the market. Like they killed each other basically.
I dug Split Second. Although you are right that like it is definitely one of those games where like you will be like in the lead right before the finish line, and then like some AI behind you like triggers an explosion and you just lose. It's literally the worst.
Oh, that reminds me of that what's the Ridge Racer that's on Steam?
There's a Ridge Racer on Steam?
Yeah, it's like Ridge Racer Online.
It's
Unbound.
all like new looking and like looks like a Call of Duty cutscene.
That game is bad too.
Awful.
That's something that's wrong. I mean, when Ridge Racer franchise has also been kind of like in the toilet in recent years, hasn't it? I mean, I don't even know which the last one that I liked. I think
probably like the PS2. Ridge Racer 5.
I liked 4 the most.
4 was cool.
I think 4 is my personal favorite too. And not even necessarily because of the mechanics, even though I do like the mechanics there, but more just because of the style. Like I feel like they really just nailed everything about it with just like the music, the menu design.
Oh yeah,
they're
the soundtrack
like
is
very simple. Yeah, all the breakbeat is amazing on that soundtrack.
That's what we were basing the menu design off of. Was that one, I think.
So are you guys doing like I guess single player mode, kind of like Type 4? I mean, like where you have to talk to somebody and then you do races.
Yeah, I mean we're still figuring out exactly how we want to do that progression, but I will say that Ridge Racer Type 4 is kind of one of my favorite single player progressions in any racing game.
What do you guys think about the mascot racers? Are there any personal favorites or ones that you really just dislike? I guess like kart racers.
Like Mario Kart?
Yeah, I mean I have a ton of fun with those games. Like
they're great. Most of them.
And especially I think Sumo Digital has kind of knocked it out of the park with like the Sonic and All-Star Racing games, especially Transformed. I think that's actually like a really good kart racer, and it's one that I think tweaks it a little bit more towards skill, which I guess maybe makes me kind of like it a little bit more. Like it's not quite as overwhelming with the items.
Yeah, that's I mean, especially I remember talking to the developer and they were saying that they were kind of pissed off when Mario later revealed that they were doing, the gliding and the underwater stuff, but really it was no comparison. It was, they hardly really mixed up the game when it came to those things with the Mario games in comparison to All Stars Racing Transformed. Have you at all, with your engine, I don't know, maybe played around with other vehicles? Probably not that you'd ever consider that, but is that a possibility?
I don't know about for drift stage necessarily, but if I ever did another game, I would kind of like to go in kind of the off-road direction.
Sega Rally?
Drift Stage 2, off-road, October.
That sounds like a real party game right there.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I think Barry just wanted a mom van so you could drift.
Yeah, exactly. Well, actually, I
saw.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, you first. It's your podcast.
Oh, but you're the guest.
I mean, I was just gonna say I saw a video the other day of somebody had taken whatever that like Toyota like egg-shaped minivan that was like all the rage in the 90s. I forget what it's called.
Previa?
But somebody, the what?
Previa?
Yes. Somebody took one of those.
They're mid-engine.
Somebody took one of those and painted it Fujiwara tofu style, and it was like the drift minivan. I thought it was amazing.
Oh, wow.
That's what you guys need in your guys' game. That would set everything apart.
Well, actually,
unlockable.
Like weird secret cars in. So I don't want to reveal what they are yet, but not all of them will have wheels. So,
is there a horse? That was one of our Twitter questions, actually.
I don't know if we want to go. Yeah.
I mean,
that's a lot of rigging.
I mean, this is a retro game, but come on, horses.
Yeah.
That's way too retro.
Yeah.
That's too retro. You guys are going too deep.
I mean, we don't want to just straight up cop that from.
I get you.
I mean, maybe like the Amish expansion pack.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome.
You guys can do a penguin that just wobbles and then drifts.
Maybe slides on its stomach.
What is this?
Yeah.
64.
Pen Triathlon now.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Underground game.
Yeah.
Some game on Dreamcast that you guys probably haven't heard of. I mean, it's just like, it's not even that great of a game. I hate that game. What are we talking about?
Yeah, all right.
Anyway, your guys' Kickstarter was actually a big success. You guys, I was surprised. I mean, you guys posted it, and I go on there to give you guys my money, and it's already almost completed. I felt like I was a little late to the party.
Yeah, we were pretty blown away by how quick it went. I mean, it's still going, but
yeah, it's still going. You guys have like over 15 days on that thing, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, are you guys thinking about with the new money? Are you guys already thinking about stuff to develop for the game?
I mean, I feel like we have a pretty decent list of things that we want to do. It's just a matter of how many of them we can do.
Do you guys? What's your time frame on releasing the game? I forgot to ask that.
I mean, we're looking at like trying to hit up the early access kind of people with builds like in April to May, and then hopefully have a full release by December.
Nice. And you guys are indie developers. You guys are obviously willing to delay the game if you guys wanted to add stuff, right?
Yeah. I mean, definitely. And I'm not above like continuing to release updates after the quote unquote, release.
Okay, no, that's pretty cool. Have you guys going to do like expansions, or is it just going to be like free content? Or are you guys going to focus on pay content? I guess I don't know. Like, how's that content going to work?
I don't think so. I wouldn't feel right doing that. Paid content, kind of like maybe a full expansion pack would be cool if we wanted to do like something substantial. But I don't want to do anything like $2.99 you get a new car or something.
You don't want to feel like those big companies are like fucking nickeling and diming everybody.
No, I don't think so. Like, we don't have AAA kind of ambitions. We're not trying to start an annual franchise or anything.
Right.
We want to do our thing and make our space. But we're not out there just like trying to open up the cash register.
Oh, we're not looking at Angry Birds with.
We want to make a good game first.
Yeah.
That a lot of people will enjoy.
And really,
it's not like a scheme, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean when you look at those retro games, they made them, they released them, and they moved on. I mean, you'd maybe see them, like with Afterburner 2, and it's really not a sequel; it's more just improvements to the original.
I'd say maybe that depends on what your definition of moving on is, because if you look at like a lot of those Model 2 and Model 3 Sega arcade games, like a lot of them are actually kind of similar when you look at them side by side.
For sure.
Oh, yeah. They use the same engine. Yeah. They really made it stretch. But it's actually kind of interesting you say that. Like, Yu Suzuki, I think I was reading an old interview when he was talking about, I think Afterburner he was developing. And I guess that he was saying, like, most of his games are, like, 60% complete and then they're released. Like, he can't add everything he wants to add. And like, some of the stuff he wanted to add in OutRun was, like, cutscenes, selectable characters. I don't even know if I would even care about that kind of stuff. So
yeah.
I don't think it really affected the games. But is that something you guys want to add to, selectable characters, or is that not what you guys are into?
Well, we're definitely planning on having at least 3 to 4 hours of cutscenes.
Cutscenes?
Yeah.
Cutscenes?
Yeah, we're getting, hiring in some script writers.
Some big time actors. You're gonna get Stephen Hawking.
Kojima flying in to direct.
Yeah, of course. I wasn't going to reveal, but I guess here on the SEGA podcast.
Yeah. Sure.
He's gonna come.
Confirming Hideo Kojima's involvement with Drift Stage.
He's gonna be like 3 to 4 hours per cutscene. That's what he's gonna ask you guys.
Oh, pretty much.
I can't wait. So the lead will be named Drift, and he owns a car, and they'll. Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah.
Drift.
And there'll be one level where you have to unplug the controller.
And then he overly explains why when you guys crash, there's no dents on your car. He's like, nano machines.
Yeah, exactly.
It's actually Drift Stage is all about the military industrial complex and taking over the world. Basically.
Wow.
I mean, there's a reason the ghost cars look like holograms, and
yeah,
it's very deep. We can't go into it now, but you'll find out in the art book.
Interesting.
Don't worry about it. There's going to be a lot of fan stories or fan fiction online about stuff like that.
Oh, I can't wait for
to the
You're
internet.
going to be quoting this podcast.
the Drift Stage.
I mean, there's definitely some
Sure.
not safe for work.
But as far as characters go, they'll probably, I mean, we don't really have it locked down yet, but the way I'm thinking it'll work is in campaign, like story mode, each car will have its own sort of character and plot line, but in all the other modes, they'll just be cars.
In OutRun, like when there's a lot of like I guess emphasis on like animation, like when you crash the side, the car flips and it just blows up. Are you guys thinking of doing stuff like that, or is it going to be more road based like the demo was?
I mean, I think we're mainly going to keep the car on the road, not really do those kind of canned animations like OutRun or OutRun 2. I think that it's almost too much of a distraction from actually playing. Like I know that's kind of one of my least favorite parts of OutRun 2 is when you do make that huge mistake, it's 3-4 seconds of just waiting before your car kind of respawns.
Yeah, Rad Racer did something similar to that, and it breaks the pace. It kind of makes you just get frustrated and want to turn the game off when that happens.
Right.
I actually agree with you. I actually was playing OutRun all this whole week, and I agree. That's actually one of my things. It's like I crash, I'll fucking restart because this is fucking. I'm not gonna make it.
Exactly.
And then the girl starts nagging at you. I'm like, bitch, come on, man. You get the steering wheel. You drive.
Yeah.
I mean, and we're not really looking to take your quarters like those games used to be. Like having, you look at like trying to play like Super Hang-On. Some of those checkpoint time limits are so extreme. Like you've got to really be on your game, not hit anything to keep playing.
Are you guys thinking of adding just like a hardcore mode where it's like you have to make it in this time, like those old arcade games where they're just like ridiculously brutal?
The whole game's hardcore.
So the whole freaking game, it's like you fuck up, that's it, dude. Give up life.
I mean, some people are already like taking the demo and kind of like doing the leaderboard chasing, trying to figure out how to shave seconds and milliseconds from their time. So I think that's kind of the hardcore aspect for those that want to go that route.
Definitely agree. How about you, Barry? You got a question?
Yeah, actually, this one's tying in with our theme month, AM2 month at SEGAbits, with OutRun and Daytona USA both being major racers from the Sega developer. Do you guys have any classic memories of these games, or maybe favorite moments from them? Not even applying to Drift Stage, but maybe the first time you played them, or just even the tiniest little things that you might like a billboard of a...
I actually have one with OutRun.
Go for it.
I was really young. I think I might have been like 6 or 7, and I was at like a pizza parlor, and they had this beat old OutRun cabinet in the corner. It was I remember it being a stand-up one, but I honestly don't even know if they made those. But I know that the steering wheel was broken, so you couldn't play it. But I just would sit there and I just watched the attract mode, and I was just like blown away by just how cool all the sprite scaling looked. Because I had seen 3D games at that point, and I'd like Lego Island and stuff. But just something about how the sprite scaling looked and how vibrant everything was on the CRT, I was just like blown away by it, and just sat there and burned my eyes out for like 15 minutes.
Nice. That's how you do it. Yeah, and there were stand-up ones, by the way. So yeah, your memory.
It wasn't crazy.
Yeah,
that's the one I remember having experience with. Was there was like this is a long time ago, but there was like this is it's so funny how dated the story is. So I remember the Blockbuster Video that we used to go to was next to an ice cream parlor, and I remember like the ice cream parlor had the stand-up version of OutRun. I was like, whoa, this is so cool. And I think like OutRun is so crazy to me, like to me personally, because it had such an effect on me that like when I found out that Ferrari like didn't actually make the Testarossa convertibles, like they didn't make those.
Yeah, I just found that out like a week ago.
Yeah, that they like the only ones in existence have been like made by like aftermarket people who like modify hardtops. They never made like a. Oh yeah, they did make one.
There's one official Ferrari convertible Testarossa,
and I think they made it because of OutRun.
Wow.
And also, OutRun didn't even have the Ferrari license when it first came out. They actually went to court. I heard about that, and then I guess they settled or whatever. But
if you look at the new 3DS version that's coming out, they had to change the taillights a little bit because I think Ferrari was like they're a little bit too close.
Ferrari sued everybody. They sued Miami Vice, anybody and everybody. They went after.
They're like, hey, quit doing free press for our vehicles. We don't like that.
That kind of makes me angry. It's like, just fucking, people are going to buy Ferraris because they played OutRun, so just fucking let them. Who cares?
Yeah.
Who's going to afford fucking, I don't even know how much they cost, like $150, I don't even know, $300,000? $5 million car?
Yeah. Over $100, for sure.
Over $100, that's too much.
How about yourself, Chase?
I mean, for me, it was, I think, mainly like the home ports of OutRun and Super Hang-On the Genesis. Because I don't really have a lot of arcade like memories because I feel like I grew up in South Carolina, which during the 90s had video poker, which I'm not even going to go into, but basically any place that would have been an arcade basically just put video poker in there for people to come in and waste every paycheck or whatever. So, for me, it's mainly just those Genesis ports.
Very cool. And did you guys have any classic? I know which one of you said they were a Nintendo household growing?
That was me.
Yeah. What kind of households did you guys have?
Sorry.
I guess when it came to console affiliation.
I mean, I actually was pretty diehard Nintendo all the way through kind of the GameCube era, and then like the Wii, I just kind of fell off. I don't know.
Yeah, same. I was always Nintendo growing up. My friends had a PlayStation and Genesis, so I was always like, I knew they existed and I liked them. It was just we could only afford one console, and I think in around 5th grade, my brother found a Genesis in somebody's garbage. Like they had a garage sale, no one bought it, and we ended up with a free Genesis. And we were like freaking out because we could suddenly go to Funko Land and buy all these old Genesis games for a couple dollars. And I still have that Genesis to this day.
What model was it?
Genesis. It's a Model 1.
Oh, nice.
Okay, that's pretty good find.
That's the good sound.
Yeah, I got to get a CD for it.
Oh man.
you got Barry all fucking.
I'm
drooling over here.
Well, I've got my own. I'm just sitting here petting it right now.
I know you are. I could tell. Anyway.
Such a cool looking console.
Oh, it's so nice.
16-bit in silver etched into the front of it.
Very 80s look to it,
Most definitely.
It's a nice 80s look.
It looks like a car engine.
Like the Super Nintendo always kind of looked like a toy in comparison, I guess, considering the way
the Segas
very
were
Fisher Price.
Yeah, the Segas were always like black and like they look like the Batmobile kind of.
Yeah, it's like somebody watched that Tim Burton Batman. They're like, that's what I want.
I mean, that's kind
perfect.
of what we went for with our logo. If you look at the Super Systems logo, it starts out black with the gold text. That I was trying to like mimic the old kind of textured plastic you'd get on like a Neo Geo or something.
Nice.
Talk about the GameCube. Did you guys like F-Zero GX on that?
Yeah.
You guys played it?
Yeah, I mean, I actually think I kind of prefer F-Zero X on the N64. I don't know why, but I'd have to play them both kind of side by side to.
Man, that AI on that game was
why
so cheap. I was going to say that, man, that freaking AI. Man, you better not do AI like that in this game.
Yeah. That is one of the classically most difficult racing games. I feel like both F-Zero X and GX.
Yeah, GX was developed by the guy that did, directed by the dude that did Daytona.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'd rather him do Daytona, but I mean it's pretty cool they did F-Zero. I mean, when I was a kid, I actually had some pretty big memories with F-Zero. It was one of those first. This is the first time I actually owned a racing game as a kid because I wasn't too much into racers, but I let somebody borrow a game and he never gave it back, so it was my game. It was so it kind of made me like racing games, I guess. I was forced to play it.
I've actually never played a single F-Zero game, believe it or not.
Oh, wow.
But
I've never had any of them. I never found them. I've never even seen one for sale.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, a lot of them, they go up in price, and when it comes to the arcade, F-Zero AX is incredibly hard to find.
Yeah, I mean, it's not to say I don't love everything about it. I mean, the soundtrack in that game is amazing. It's just I've never physically played it.
Maybe the next drift stage could be Drift Stage 2099, and it jumps forward into the future.
I don't know. That brings back memories of OutRun. What year was it that they picked?
I think it was 2099.
2099. Yeah. I did not like that game.
No.
They did that with Top Gear too.
Yeah.
It's like Top Gear 2023 or something.
So you guys could make a really bad game later and call it Drift Stage 2099 a free update where everything's just broken?
I don't know about that.
Maybe. That'd be pretty next level.
And they'll list you guys as the developers.
George, this is why you don't make games.
This is because my ideas are terrible. That's
ironically bad.
Yeah.
It's oh man, we should add a cutscene right here in this drift corner right here, and then. Well, I was gonna say, you have any more questions, Baron?
No, I don't. In fact, I wanted to ask you guys if you had any messages out there for maybe potential backers for the project. With 18 days to go, you guys are well over your goal already. But if you want to add any extra bucks on there.
I would just say, if you have any interest in old school arcade racing games, just go to itch.io and search for Drift Stage, download the alpha demo, try it out. If you like it, maybe throw a few bucks our way on Kickstarter.
Yeah, and that was awesome. You guys got the demo out there too. A few developers do that, so that was really cool.
That is very true. We wanted to make sure people knew it was a real thing.
Yeah, that was very important that people, before we could ask for money, we wanted them to really play it and be like, this isn't your thing, that's fine, but if it is, help us out.
Nice.
Was that always your guys' idea behind the whole Kickstarter? Have a demo out, then do the Kickstarter?
Yeah. I think at some point we wanted to do it on the same day, but that kind of got red tape.
Our bank wasn't having that.
Yeah. Well, very cool. So Kickstarter, search Drift Stage by Super Systems Softworks. It's happening, but if you back it, it can happen even more. So we have Chase, programmer, Charles, man with the art, and Hugh, the music dude. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us to talk about your game. Really looking forward to seeing the final product once it comes out.
Thanks a lot for having us.
Thanks for coming up.
Yeah, thanks.